Hello, YouTube. My name is Rake, and you probably know me from that one video that blew up on my channel. A lot of you came from the shout out from Imperator. I think that's his name. Much bigger YouTuber than me. But anyways, I've been on a super long hiatus for a couple months now. That's just because school has just, been wrecking me. But at the same time, I've been working on City Skylines, and I did say I had custom assets planned for my new series. And it is finally done, and all of my assets have been uploaded to the workshop, albeit very low-key, very, trying to not draw any attention to them at all. I'm just not really trying to become an asset creator. I just want assets that I can use in my series because I just want to get on with the series. Not an asset creator. I like to build. I just want to play the game. And so, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my new series, my new city. And as you may be able to see on the screen, just give me 1 second. It's already maxed. Just 1 moment. Okay, just one last thing. Okay. Right. Like I said, welcome to my new series. This series is going to be very difficult and very interesting at the same time. Because I have so many interesting ideas that I want to try. And here is just one of the major ideas. As you can see, there is an absolute chaos going on the screen. And as you may or may not have noticed, the series starts with the airport of the city. As a matter of fact, I have decided to make the airport completely in its own save game because I really imagine this city being an absolute monstrosity, the biggest megalopolis if it were on Earth, which it is, based on Earth. Then this would absolutely be the biggest city on Earth, biggest city, hint, in the southern hemisphere, and has the biggest airport in the world. I just really try to go for extremes here. Just extreme sizes, extreme everything. Theory is, or like the backstory, sorry, to my city is that the city has, been pretty lucky with trade, but has been very smart with its usage of money and investing that money into the people. And, as it is with, in history, if you treat your people right, they more than, likely, I'm not really an expert on economics, but if you give people a quality life, they will innovate, they will make it so that you will prosper as a country. And I'd like to think that's the utopia that I'm trying to create here. Anyways, with that being said, let me just give you a brief overview of what's happening here. So let Let me count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 terminals. I forgot to name this one actually. There are 9 terminals. And each terminal has a, well, except the satellite ones, these ones over here, they do not have an entrance. You also see one here, a satellite terminal, but it is connected to this main terminal. So it's basically, these two are basically the same terminal. Same example over here. But this one right here, this and this, they are completely separated. And the main inspiration for these concourses, satellite terminals, is Orlando Airport. As a matter of fact, I can give you a quick look at what I've been trying to replicate. Just give me a moment so I can find it. As you can see here, Orlando Airport is, I think it's definitely the most beautiful airport, in my opinion, ever built. There are a couple ones that try very interesting things, but I think it really nails that tropical vibe to it without being, you know, all concrete. Sure, there's a lot of concrete, but I've watched a couple videos of, like, you know, people recording themselves driving in their car into the airport. There's a lot of greenery around, and it's just such a beautiful scenery. And I just absolutely love this airport. And now here they're also trying to make a railway connection and everything with their new terminal. It's just such a great airport, and it has a lot of room to expand. I'm just very excited for what this airport is gonna do next. But yeah, I think you see the general shape that I was trying to do. Very, very at the beginning, I was trying to replicate exactly how these satellite terminals look like. But I changed my mind eventually down the line. But yes, this is one inspiration for it. The other terminal with the other inspiration, this one right here. So obviously you got this satellite terminal here, and then the main entrance terminal right here. By the way, these host mostly big planes and supersonic planes, so this is definitely an intercontinental airport instead of a more regional hub. It is also a regional hub, but definitely hosts more international flights than it does local flights with smaller planes. Right, so this airport, the inspiration for this is right over here in Charles de Gaulle Airport, specifically these two concourses, satellite terminals. Sorry, I keep saying concourse, but I don't think that's the right terminology for it. Anyways, I think you can kind of see the resemblance, maybe a little bit. But anyway, that was the inspiration for that. But actually going to the main shape of the airport, there might be something that sticks out. It's really trying to hit a... I always try to give direct examples when I'm, you know, talking about my inspiration. Kind of tried to do something with O'Hare, something similar to O'Hare Airport. Their runways are super, like, how do I say, super tight, and they crisscross a lot. I didn't really want to do that. I have, like, these two over here that crisscross, but that's really just because I wanted to have, like, different shapes and different, just, you know, directions, and just give it more variety on the runways. But that's kind of the shape that I was going for. Another inspiration that I can surely show you is I can find it. Schiphol Airport, how it's got that crisscrossing sort of highway thing, and then the outer, I'm sorry, highway, runway. And then it's got also the outer runway, like with these ones over here, just like sort of these tentacle like arms. Originally, I did not want to make this terminal, but it just arrived a couple days ago, I think, and it is made by Black Fox, definitely my favorite City Skylines content creator. I just absolutely love everything he makes. He is insanely talented at this game. Check him out. Anyways, he made this recently, and I was just genuinely so impressed. It's trying to replicate a Zaha Hadid style airport. I think it's pretty obvious which airport this is. Let me find it. Over here. It is pretty obvious we're talking about Dashing Airport. I hope I pronounced that right. I also had another terminal that I made myself, inspired by this airport in Beijing. It's this one, just a regular star-shaped terminal. However, it's not just really a star. There is a flower in the country that I originate from, Madagascar. It's called the Darwin flower, something like that. And it's basically shaped exactly like this, and that's where I got my inspiration from. And hence I made this terminal. As you can see over here as well, I might not make this in the end, but this is kind of the only way I was able to get traffic going to the upper and lower entrances, road entrances to the terminals. This is for every terminal as well. What I don't like is having cars drive on like what should be pedestrian zone, right? So I'm still trying to figure out how I can get that working. But yeah, like I said, this happens with, oh no, actually it does not happen with this airport because, for this terminal, sorry, because this is already like, it has a very convenient connection. And this is a good segue to how I actually managed to make this all work and have all runways being used. It's genuinely so crazy that you can actually do this, because usually you would just have to break the game somehow. But I have found a way to make it so that there's a lot of traffic and it looks like it's a fully functioning airport, and I just absolutely love it, man. I can genuinely stop right now and be happy with what I've created. However, I cannot stop yet. It is completely barren and empty here in the middle as well. There is so much that I want to do, and I'm so excited to do it. But the gist of it is that, tourism in this game is super weird, and generally how people move, how the Sims move. And so what I've done is made it so that for each terminal, there is one city, one little town or city, one piece of civilization that people absolutely have to take the plane to get to, right? So people are landing with the plane, right? For example, they take this terminal, they land here, and I have placed little paths, those little paths here, if I can show you, these things, and they will make people walk inside of the terminal. It looks super nice. And so what I've done is placed a straight road with a bunch of these service blocks where there's residential, a whole civilization, a whole little city. As you can see here, my total population is 16,000. But anyways, there's a full-on civilization, and they are not allowed to get there by car, by train, or any other mode except for by plane. And that is how I get all of these little plane stands to work 100%. However, that is not the only thing you have to do to make this work. You also have to tune your outside connections with a mod. I don't quite remember the name of it, but I think it was like, I don't know. Maybe I can find it. Just give me a moment. I'm just gonna show everything here so I don't have to edit anything because I'm too lazy. Advanced outside connection. Alright, so this mod is insane. So what you do is you take these plain outside connections and you tweak the resident capacity. I don't think resident capacity is necessarily needed, but what you need is the tourist factors, and there's a value between 0 to 1 million. And 1 million is way too much. 500,000 is, I think, way too much. 100,000 maybe still doable, but I think a good value is around 50,000 to really get good traffic. And you just do this for every single outside connection. It doesn't really, if you're doing an airport, do it for the plain outside connections. If you're trying to make a custom train station with intercity trains or bus terminal with intercity buses, then yes, you can tweak the road connections as well. Otherwise, I will leave them as they are with these default values. But anyways, for all plane connections, you have to do that. Obviously, you have to place the paths, connect the plane stands accordingly to the paths to the city so that people have to walk. Make sure they don't use their cars because that would look weird when cars spawn here. Obviously, the pets kind of do spawn on the plane stands, but that is something I am willing to overlook. One more thing that I did attempt to do is make these connections to the plane stands from the taxiways, using normal taxiways, of course, with two-sided taxiways. So, like, they're double-sided, right? However, I've gotten a bit of an issue with these, where there would just be an endless amount of traffic on the planes. Maybe I can find an example. I think there was one. Yeah, something like this. And as you can see, it still happens even though I have placed two different taxiways for the connection to the plane stands. It still happens occasionally, but not nearly as much as when I did it with this double-sided taxiway. So to save yourself the trouble of way more plane traffic than you can manage on your own, do not use double-sided taxiways. Except, I can make an exception if you can find a mod that clears traffic automatically, maybe even specifically just planes, when it backs up after maybe 30 seconds or 60 seconds and still doesn't kind of move or despawn, and then it would just automatically despawn. That would be amazing. I think that would even improve FPS. However, as far as I know, there is no such mod. Moving on from that, there are a couple little like quirks that I also did with just the whole like aesthetic look of this airport. There are a lot of junctions, a lot of unnecessary junctions, but I think it just looks amazing how these little just holes in the runways themselves as well as taxiways, I think it looks amazing, and I just don't regret it at all. No matter how inaccurate this looks to real life, I'm just here to have fun, man, and I'm just so happy with what I've achieved so far. I've achieved everything I wanted, almost everything anyways, because, you know, we're still working on this monstrosity. And as you can see here, I've decided I most likely will change this in the future. to paint the skid marks. No, not skid marks. Dashes of the runways with intersection marking tool. Make a completely custom runway as well as taxiways with the 2 white lines. It's usually one single yellow line from the little research I've done on airports. And these are supposed to be white, but I've made them green to fit the flag of the country that I'm from. Madagascar, once more. Then I had little roads, for catering vehicles and all sorts of service vehicles for the airport. Go looping around the airport, just like taxiways. There is a sort of taxiway highway of sorts that goes all the way around the airport and is fully interconnected with all of the connections to plane stands as well as runways. And as you can see here, if I can just play the game, I let it run, the simulation, there will always be planes, no matter where, on all runways. Taxiways are busy as hell. It's just beautiful watching this. I can just be mesmerized all day watching this. And yeah. What else do I want to show? Right. There is this thing right in the middle. So what is this? What the hell did I make? What I'm thinking here is, let me show you the inspiration. Right here. Yes, you guessed it. This city is definitely going to take a lot of inspiration from Singapore. I just absolutely love Singapore. It's such an amazing city, and Changi Airport is literally a tourist attraction of its own and probably generates nearly as much traffic as the actual city. And this absolute marvelous piece of technology right here, the jewel, is my inspiration. So this is a sort of hub for tourists to be attracted to go to. It's connected fully with its with the airport's transit system, and it has like these little sky bridges that connect to the various terminals. And I just think that's amazing. This airport is amazing. It's really beautifully built. And it has like this little entrance with the transit line, and you can see like the waterfall through it. It's just, it's gorgeous. Just Google it. I think most of you architecture as well as urban planning maniacs know exactly what I'm talking about. So what I'm trying to say is this building, which is inspired by my country yet again, I pretty much ripped off the terminal building from the international airport in Madagascar. And I think it just looks really beautiful with these like super traditional hut style triangular sort of roofs. And so what I'm thinking here is making like a botanic garden of sorts. You can see here there's a suspended monorail connection, but I might drop it in the future. And you can see here this is something I commissioned as well. One of my assets, basically, a express bike path exclusively for biking and pedestrian, obviously on the side. And under it is a ginormous clover stack. Is that a turbo clover stack? Because it's like, it has a turbo sort of connection here, and then obviously a half clover, but it also stacks. So yeah, I think that's the name. Huge interchange here, and it connects to various points of this mega hub. This is really just the middle of the airport, right? So that's kind of the thought process, is that people can go to these terminal entrances, but if you want to experience the entrance and exit of the airport in its full glory, you use these roads here. This is a huge loop-de-loop around this ginormous building that I've made with the new airport DLC buildings. You can see it's super smooth with the connection here. This still needs a bit of work, but the thought process here is that people will use these, and then they will use elevated pedestrian passages to connect to this building and use the transit lines. Now it's a suspended monorail, but I'm not really looking too happy with how this looks. So I think I might just do a metro for these. However, as you may have noticed, connecting all of these outer terminals is, as a matter of fact, also a suspended monorail, and I think I will keep it this way. Oh yeah, let me show you the trains that I made for the suspended monorail. I'm really happy with how these turned out. These look amazing. Super nice, sleek. It's got the custom airport logo here on the side, and welcome in all sorts of languages just splattered all over the top piece. This is definitely one of my proudest creations. Well, it's not really mine. Obviously, I commissioned someone to make it, but I'm still very happy with how it looks. We got our custom airplanes out here. These are some of the other smaller airplanes that I downloaded from the workshop, and I just kind of plotted them fittingly, as many as possible on these terminals. Here we got the monstrosity that is the Sky Whale, the biggest. I think there is another super big airplane, but I think this is one of the biggest. It is definitely one of the biggest airplanes. This is pretty much the Jewel, but I kind of retrofitted it with to be an airport terminal. And another inspiration for this satellite terminal is actually, if I can remember it, yes, here it is. So there's this, I don't know if it's happening or not, but Warsaw has been thinking of making a new airport, I think. Is that the gist of it? And it's basically this building, yeah, that I took as inspiration. I put the Changi sort of pattern to it, the jewel pattern with like the gray, light blue, cayenne sort of colors of the glass, triangular looking glass, and this is the result. It used to look way, way worse, but it's just super beautiful now, and it's reflective and all. Same with this building right here, which I think you can kind of already guess the inspiration. Dubai International Airport has these sort of, how do I even call these? Snake? Or like snails shaped terminals. But the inspiration for this was that I wanted to make something obviously based in Madagascar once again. And so I thought about lemurs here. These fellas, see the tails, right? They have black and white. Obviously it's not really black and white here, but I couldn't quite figure out how to make black and white glass look good. So I kind of had to settle with sort of these bluish tones, and that's totally fine in my opinion. It ended up super, super high polygon for all of my assets, but in the end, I'm not really complaining because I get an airport that looks amazing. I get a functional game that is on okay FPS. Maybe it will worsen drastically down the line, but for now I'm doing okay. And if it's gonna, worsen, then I might just upgrade my RAM. but I think I've shown enough of the airport. I am currently still working on the taxiway shoulder markings here, right? These red things for this terminal. Not quite done yet. Like here, I use surface painter to just paint the concrete on to these taxiways and then make it look super nice. Absolutely no detail on not a single terminal, really. No decals, no ground details. All of that is still coming, but I am still waiting for more stuff from the workshop to come out. And hopefully we'll have a bit of an easier time making all of this. What I'm really hoping is some sort of mod that can remove this right here, net nodes, net segments. I am already over half the limit, and at this rate that I'm going, I'm absolutely not going to be able to finish this project. So I really hope someone is working on a way to fix this. I believe in the modder's ability to just create anything, because if they can make the prop limit somehow increased without really sacrificing anything, then I believe that the node limits as well as segment limits can also be increased. I really hope so. I have no idea how this game works, and I'm just trusting the experts. Anyways, guys, this is my new series, and I am just proud to announce that I am finally taking the first steps and actually just playing the game and making my dream a reality. One last thing that I have to mention when we're talking about that already. This is obviously not based on reality whatsoever. If we were to actually build something like this in real life, the amount of money required would be just not possible. It just would not be possible, right? This is absolutely insane and such a waste of money. But nevertheless, I will take it, because my sort of explanation for this is like in the year maybe 2050, 2045-ish, where we've progressed to a stage that mass production, duplicating material, especially, just really living in that sort of how do I say, sustainable method of living is drastically pushed, and people are really just trying to, be conscious of what they're doing. And obviously this is kind of not really it, because highways everywhere, right? Highways bad, car bad. But I'm thinking, mostly electric cars. You're not going to see diesel cars, badly designed diesel cars. If anything, there's going to be a lot of taxation and, a lot of government policy to curb usage of cars and get people using trains, buses, transit, walking, bicycles, all that jazz. But I am still a big fan of highways, and I think they are such an underrated infrastructure. Not really in the sense of, oh, no one's using them. Of course, everyone is using them. But in the way of, they've just lost so much rep, right? Once you kind of mention highways in certain circles, it's just the discussion doesn't really turn civilized, at least in my experience. And I think there's a lot to be still learned and figured out from highways. But enough of my insane ramblings of a car apologist. I still love cars and I love highways. You know, I'm not even an American. That's the funny part. But yeah, there's gonna be a lot of highways. However, I'm gonna try to make, you know, I'm gonna try to push all of my beliefs into this project and make it really reflect sort of what I envision is the ideal city, because in the end, that's kind of what this game is. You build what you want, you build your dream city, and if someone doesn't like it, then it's not really your fault. Uh, you just play the game, right? However, with the scope of this game, I really am just so happy that I really want to showcase it. And the fact that my game hasn't crashed or really just been in an unplayable level of lag yet is baffling to me. And until the game really tells me it's just over, dude, give up, I'm just gonna keep playing the game and building and building and building. Right, that ends this video. I have no clue how long this video is currently. I hope I'll be able to shorten it, but I've tried to squeeze out all possible information in as fast a timestamp as possible. That's it, guys. I'm not gonna waste your time anymore. Like and subscribe. More of this content coming soon. Thank you for watching the video. Check out all the people mentioned. Check out my Steam profile. All of my uploaded assets are there if you're interested. This is it. See you guys in the next video. Peace.